Good morning, everybody. It's Marty, the JavaScript party, and my buddy Rhett. I did get her a nut today, so here we go. Here you go, darling. Here we go. So basically, what happened is I've been working through this application. This is my second time trying to build something like this, and then this new version is much taking a lot longer for various reasons. They literally have dozens of reasons. Probably the largest of which is the biggest thing is I decided to add testing to the process. So the writing the test, especially at first, took a long time. Second of all, in ThreeJS, you get one camera per visualization. So I wanted to be able to have multiple visualizations at the same time so that I could have two different cameras pointing at the same stuff, um, and have it build out. So because basically what I was having to do before in my old one was create two visualizations and then separately record them and then combine them, and that was, or have two different browsers running, different things like that. So I wanted to have two visualizations, so that added a lot of complexity. But one thing I ran into that I didn't run into before, and I think it's because I didn't really have as many options and stuff before, is this concept of detached elements or detached nodes. And what I found is that a lot of my underlying technologies that I was using was creating a ton of detached elements and detached nodes. So I've decided to go back sort of to more of an old school um, methodology of showing visualizations, or showing different versions of the same thing. So basically, right now I have three versions that I have implemented. One is a tabular layout, which is like a tables. One is a custom layout for right now it's like grids, and the last is an update layout. And what I basically found is that as I was moving from one to another, I was creating a ton of like thousands of elements that the browser had a reference to, so HTML type elements, but the JavaScript no longer had a reference to. And I don't know exactly how that happens, but it's just a problem that I need to work out. It seems to be sort of an Angular issue. Definitely not something I would not use Angular for because of, but maybe if under certain, maybe 1 in 1,000 applications might be the type of application where you don't want to use, where you need to be very concerned about detached nodes. And I think this is one of 1,000 applications. Basically, any application where you're gonna be where you need it to be up for hours and hours and hours on end, or you need to stop it, um, or you need to do the or you need to like work with massive pieces of memory, and you're gonna be looking from view to view. Though I think those are the two sort of things that I could think of where you really don't want to have a lot of detached nodes. So it's something you got to keep an eye on. So, anyways, I did move from a routing to a CSS layout situation, and one of the things I wanted to avoid was the expression changed um, before you before it could be presented error. I find that to be very annoying. Let's see. So right now we do not have anything like that, so that's good. And I believe, I could always be wrong on this, but if we look at memory and we take a snapshot, yeah, we don't have any detached nodes at this point. So I got this CSS, and I decided to go down the path um, of getting my CSS and all that working I before I got the HTML working. And yesterday, so I got that. I mean, before I get the it responding to routes working. And so yesterday I worked on this, and basically I created these CSS rules. Now I think this is good. Yeah, I don't really have any problem with this, but I think it could be a little bit. Oh man, look at that! I've absolute. Um, I believe that I could. I can't believe that it actually compiled with that bad um, property. But I think that I would like to make this has a strong. This little code block here is basically what is going to tell the browser what to display and what not to display. And I think this is good, but I do think that it is a little like, and I don't think it'd be too bad like as we scale this up to add more. But I think we can make it a little bit easier. And I think the best way to do that would be to do this, like basically move this up here. So basically all the default view of the app custom layout is none. Um, and then the thing is I think I want my custom. So this custom is for when technically it's for when the path up here says custom, and then this tabular is when the path up here says tabular, right? So if I click this button, we have tabular. I click this button again, we have custom. But in the situation where we started, where we don't have one, I also wanted to do custom. So by default, I want the custom to be absolute. So if nothing is in there, and this is my default, and then basically I think it might be easier to bring this secondary thing. And so this is saying that, hey, if the ID is parent and it also has a custom class, if the class on the main div is custom, then I don't need this one anymore, right? I don't even know if I need this custom. I don't think we need that. And then so if it's tabular though, then we want the app custom layout to be none. I think that'll be a little bit easier, like the next time when we add a new one, when we add a new, like when we go do edit or update, for example, we have another view called update where it'll say update up here, and then we'll add our and dot update, and then we'll add one of these rules. It would be nice if if we didn't have to add the app custom layout, but basically you'll have to say, hey, the custom layout is none. See, because by default okay, so I got that wrong anyways. Okay, so app tabular layout is none. So this is saying that anytime that it finds an app tabular layout inside of a parent ID, that the app tabular layout is going to be none, and the app custom layout is going to be absolute, so it'll be displayed. And then otherwise, the app tabular, if it's tabular, it'll be display will be none, and then tabular layout will be absolute. So basically it'll swap back and forth. And then as we add new layouts, we'll just come in here and we'll add one rule up here, and then we'll copy one of those, hide custom layout, and show whatever the other one is, because tabular will already be hidden. Kind of would love to be able to, if we didn't have this route, then I think I would love to just make them all hidden at the top and then just show them as they're displayed. But that's not how it's going to work, at least at this moment. So what we can do now, we just kind of need to test it. So we're going to add a visualization. So this is the custom layout. If we really, you can tell better if there's two of them. So this is the custom layout because it's showing two of these. And then if we click this, tabular did not work. We still stayed in custom. So for some reason, app custom layout did not pick up the style. So let's go ahead and try to figure that out. So we do have, so right now it's the custom class. So that's wrong. Oh, okay, that's right, because we didn't implement the routing code yet. So if we wanted to see this, we would have to manually update it. So let's go ahead and do that. And okay, so right now we are in tabular. Let's go ahead and go here. So tabular is now the default. So we're going to go ahead and add one. So that's not working. Okay, so the class is in fact tabular. This guy is actually display none, and that is the custom, which is what we want. And then for some reason, this display absolute is being overwritten by this display none, which typically when they show it like this, that says that this is a higher specificity. And this is, it tells you the specificity right there. I don't know how to, unfortunately, you can't leave that up. But as you see, it's kind of popping on and off. And this is a specificity of 1, 3, and 1. And this is a specificity of 1, 2, and 1. So I don't understand why. So it says that this is not a proper value. Did I misspell absolute? Okay, what am I doing wrong here? Oh, display. I know we don't want block. I'm pretty sure we don't want block. Oh, position is absolute, not display. Display is, I don't know what. Man, this is crazy. Okay, so we want display block. Block. You know, I remember early on, in the very early days of all this, I used to always get confused between position and display. And I think we always want them to have a position of absolute. That's crazy sometimes how things like that just kind of get stuck in your head. All right, let's try this again. Reload. So we want to be in tabular, and we are. So we see that in tabular. And then we want, if I change this to custom, we add one of these, we get the block. Now why it's showing only for tabular and for customs, I don't really know. I know when I built this out, I did not build it out with the concept of the divs existing at the same time. So, you know, there's obviously some kind of weird um, thing happening. I know that when the div comes alive, when it becomes created, um, when it becomes an instance of the component, that in the constructor it kind of it creates its own, determines what it's supposed to be displayed like. That whole concept may have to be redone too. Um, but for now, um, all I'm trying to do is get, you know, it's one part at a time. All right. So the next thing is to go ahead and get um, the to write some code to deal with um, what to signal based on the route. So to determine what the route is, and then do that. I like my constructors to be the first function. And so I believe we have to do something in the constructor in order to like listen for route changes and all that. So I'm just gonna give ChatGPT my general desire. Um, what version of Angular? I hope we're on the latest version of Angular. If not, we do need to upgrade before it gets too far out of hand. Okay, so we're in Angular 20, which I'm pretty sure is the latest version. Okay, so I am working on an Angular 20 project. I want to set a CSS file. No, I want to set a signal value. See, working on these words, like these are brand new concepts. So working on these words so that you can speak to them in an effective way is really good for your brain. Um, you know, kind of the first part is to understand something, and then the second part is to be able to put it to words. And you can actually learn to understand things and never ever learn how to put it to words, and then your whole world can get very, very primal or primitive. It can just get real difficult, and it can make you almost completely unsociable, make it almost impossible for you to be able to interact with other human beings. And then you just, you don't want to go down that path. It's so much better to be able to talk about things. So I'm working on an Angular 20 project. I want to set a signal value based on the route, and when the route changes, I want to set the signal again. I already have the signal code. I just need the routing code. And I don't know, and is there a way to listen to routes from a signal? So that would be kind of nice. Then in the constructor, all we do is set a function. Yes, Angular 17, especially Angular 20, can directly bind to signals in the router state instead of manually subscribing to router events. Okay, so that will make life, I think, a lot easier. Oh, introducing our router. Okay, so, and I know that there's like two different services, and I'm not super aware of which ones to use, you know. So they're saying, hey, this is router and it's got events and you can change it to a signal. And so this is using activated route. And then this is, I think, what our situation is, 3. Router events, pipe, filter, instance of navigation, ed, subscribe, route, set. This router. Recommended to bridge between, that way you don't have to manage subscriptions yourself if you want. Which one was the recommended? It never told us, like, didn't this? Okay, so this one doesn't do to signal. Does this one do? Okay, this one doesn't do to signal either. Oh yes, this one does. This one does to signal. It's kind of wild that you don't have to create an event function. All right, and then this one does. So it's saying that I should use 1 or 2, and then number 3. It's saying I could do this: router, event, pipe, filter, instance of, subscribe, navigation end. So in number 3 will. So I'm wondering, will number 3? Okay. I think that jQuery did a great job of kind of getting this concept of chaining into our world, and chaining can be really awesome, but man, it can make code very difficult to make sense of and very difficult to maintain. And I think this is a perfect example where this is like 1 line of code technically, but it really seems like it should be like 10 lines of code, 20 lines of code. So this router events apparently is, okay. See, we are going to want to do that, but at this point, we probably won't want to do this inside of the app component. We'll probably want to do this inside of the update component. But so I'm curious, will this create a subscription that needs to be unsubscribed from? Will create a subscription needs to be unsubscribed from. The problem with these subscriptions is, like, they can maintain references to things that are no longer don't really exist, that are no longer useful. So you could have like a subscription to something and it's just sitting there, and though that while a subscription isn't particularly big in and of itself, the things it has references to can be gigantic. So anything must be cleaned up. See, this is normally, not always, but normally. Navigation take till destroy. So they're claiming that will option be used instead of manually. It's cleaner to use Angular. So 3 does create a script that you should unsubscribe from if you want no man. See, what I don't understand, okay, about this is, like, does that mean on every event we're going to create another subscribe? So like as I'm moving around, so in the original number 3, is that on every event create another subscription. The original number 3 is one subscription and the components constructor. Okay. And so, and then the one thing that you really have to wonder about is like, this doesn't specifically say that it'll get rid of it. It just says it handles it. Who the heck knows what they mean? Um, so, okay. So now let's go look back at the first 3 again. It's 8:51. So the first one is to use activated route or router. And in their example, they use router. Router is, I believe, a function. It also imports a navigation end. I believe the router pops off a bunch of different events. So they're going to take this current route, we're going to create it, convert it to a signal. So current route is a signal. To signal. And then, so this is the first parameter apparently of to signal. I guess the second parameter is required for signal event. Always update when the route. So then I guess, so for number 1, I guess then we would create an effect that listens to the current route. The original to create an effect to listen for the current route signal. I don't even know if those are the right words. You have a signal called current route. Signals are new to React, are reactive getters. They don't do anything until you read them. Yeah, so then we'll have to do this inside of our constructor. All right, it is 8:53, so I should probably log off for now. So tomorrow, I think we want to go with the number 1 solution, which is to convert this to create a signal variable, and then come down into our constructor and create an effect and listen for that. I don't believe I have any effects. Yeah, I haven't imported effect. So we are importing signal already. But so basically the idea is it'll pop off a signal, and then supposedly it'll handle all the memory kind of stuff behind the scenes for us. You know, we haven't had a lot of luck with that kind of thing. Sometimes the Angular folks are not particularly concerned about things like detached nodes and things like that. And that there are a lot of teams, so it could be that the Signal team is highly fixated on memory management, but the Angular material team isn't particularly concerned about it. Who knows? Anyways, happy coding, everybody. Bye.